Welcome to the first ever Amanda Hoyle Show. Today we have Brandon from Cordial Coffee. He's going to tell us all about how he opened a coffee shop in a small town, and he's going to make for us his famous waffles. Coming up. I am so excited to introduce to you guys my first guest. It is none other than Brandon Bellin from Cordial Coffee. I actually grew up next to this guy, and it was so cool when he opened his coffee shop. I could not wait to come check it out. So I am happy for you to come and tell us about your journey.
I'm so excited to be here. Thank you.
So tell us about when you were thinking about opening a coffee shop. Like, what brought you to that point of wanting to open a coffee shop?
I think my grid just filled up. I had barista experience behind the bar off and on since I was 19. Worked as a roaster for 4 years leading up to that, and that allowed me to see a little further back in the process of, from farm to cup.
Right.
And once I had a comprehensive or, a little better understanding of how that worked, then I was able to feel like, okay, I'm ready to open a place. Because I felt like I could represent coffee for what it was.
Yeah. Let's go back to 19. Where were you? What were you doing when you were 19?
I had just finished community college, moved to Virginia Beach, looking for a job. Walked into a local Starbucks. Yes, I've worked at Starbucks. I feel like if you haven't been rushed to the point of feeling like you were going to have an anxiety attack, you can't effectively work behind the bar. So you like, they're such a big brand and so busy. Like, I mean, they kind of paved the way for the $5 latte. I mean, like anybody running a specialty coffee shop has to at least acknowledge that Starbucks and larger companies similar to them kind of made that a thing. They took the Italian latte, bar drink tradition, brought it to America, made it a popular thing.
Did you know when you were working there at 19, though, that you would want to open a coffee shop one day?
Yes, immediately I knew. It was a couple weeks in, and I just envisioned myself, once I heard the story of like where the coffee comes from, how it's hand harvested, things like that.
Yeah.
I somehow had this vision of me sitting in a Spanish-speaking country somewhere on the back of an old beat-up pickup truck with bags loaded on it, drinking coffee out of a tin cup that was from the farm.
That's awesome.
And so like this January, I'm going to Colombia to visit one of our direct trade coffee people, and it's like, it's all come full circle.
Yes,
so it's nice.
That's so awesome. Yeah. That's all, it all comes back to, visualizing what you want, and then you maybe don't know how you're going to get there, but that's what you want, and then just the universe makes it work.
I feel terrible at goals. I'm really bad at long-term, like how it's going to actually look. I can kind of get an idea of the general idea, but I have a hard time with specifics.
Yeah.
So at that time, just having that one little vision is kind of like kept me on that path the whole way. Like, how do I get to that?
That's all you have to have is that little vision, and then little things, little doors will open in all kinds of places that you probably don't even expect. So that's awesome. Okay, so tell us about the waffles.
The waffles were an idea that came about 2 weeks before opening our shop, and we have such a small kitchen. We didn't know what we were going to do. We are not bakers, but we do like making things from scratch.
Yeah.
And I don't know if I saw something online or whatever, but I guess I may have seen some nice little waffle next to a cup of coffee, and just it hit me all of a sudden, like, we're doing waffles. We'll make them made to order.
Right.
So we came up with these little cards that people check off what toppings they want, and we make all the batter from scratch, and it's coffee and waffles. It's now a thing.
That's awesome. And I know from being in there that you try to locally source all of your ingredients.
As much as possible.
Yes.
Yeah.
As much as possible, yeah. Sometimes it's not possible, but that's awesome. I think that's awesome. So, okay, let's get started.
Cool. So basically we take our dry ingredients mix. We've already put this together, so...
Cooking show magic.
We're going to start by breaking up the egg yolks. We'll just add these in. If you don't whisk these apart, they get surrounded in oil, and then you're chasing egg yolks around inside the veg oil.
And we're going to put all of this in the description for you guys to check out if you want to make it. However, Brandon says you can have the recipe, but it's all in how you whisk it. So make sure you
got to put in the work.
Whisk it.
So got the oil in. Basically just want to get this nice and homogeneous. Milk's going to be next. And so I'm not sure who told me this, but essentially if you're adding dry ingredients back to liquid, you keep it from getting stuck on the bottom of the bowl. So
Right. That's why you do all the liquid first and
there's
then
going to
the
be
dry.
a couple little secrets in here. Don't forget to take note. You don't want dry clumps on the bottom of the bowl.
No, that's so true. Though.
Vanilla extract.
Yummy stuff.
I don't know why.
Are you kidding? It makes it so good.
All right, so you got your liquid base.
Okay.
And
Do you want a
so all the
scooper?
dry ingredients are already in here mixed together. And
What's in the dry ingredients?
So we use actually gluten-free flour at
Okay.
our location. Nobody knows. They've been blown away when they said, "Oh my gosh, these are all gluten-free." They have
Oh,
no
yeah,
idea.
because they think
the
it
way they
wouldn't
fluff
taste
up,
good.
they're
Yeah.
they're nice and crisp on the outside, little soft on the inside, so perfect waffle consistency.
Right.
But essentially, the way that came about was my oldest son has a gluten intolerance, so we wanted
Right.
him to have the availability to come in, get something whenever he wanted.
No, and that's awesome because a lot of people have that. It's pretty
Yeah.
common.
Yep. So, and do like half of this at a time. I mean, this
Yeah.
like gets really thick towards the end. So
I just love that you're doing all the work. I'm just sitting here.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I've been so busy with stuff outside of being behind the bar, but this is the first batch of batter I've made in probably a month.
Oh, I'm so glad I could
Don't
give
tell
you that
anybody that works with
opportunity.
me. So, yeah, I know, right? Yeah. Dude, this is a lot.
Yeah.
Your kids are gonna be eating waffles for a week.
Okay, so you worked at Starbucks when you were 19, but then did you stay at that Starbucks? What happened?
No, I moved around a bunch. I worked at a few different locations. You know, they were constantly calling upon people to go work at, you know, the one on Shore Drive or, you know, La Promenade. They had these other shops. But then, you know, I eventually left there, worked at a couple other cafes, some for better, some for worse. You know, just kind of really just getting a broad, like, what's the full spectrum?
Yeah.
You know, as far as like, you know, some of the service was great, some of the service was horrible, you know, some was fast, some was slow, some was more focused on, you know, food items in the cafe more than just the quality of the coffee. So really it's just a comprehensive, like, wow, what's the real scope of all these cafes? And man, what does this one do right? What does this one do wrong? And just putting that all together and having our own space based off of trying to better inefficiencies and just kind of come up with something that felt good to us.
Yeah. So were you all over the United States or did you stay in Virginia?
No, I actually went to New York for a week over Thanksgiving and walked into one of the local stores there. And since they pay you by your employee number, they said, "We need help. It's holidays. You want to work for a week?" So I worked in New York City for a week
That's so awesome.
while I was visiting there.
And was it more high strung there or?
No, it was really tight. There was no room behind you. You were kind of stuck in this little corner making bar drinks all day long, just kind of jamming them out. But again, it's practitionership, putting in the work.
Yeah.
It's like, that's really what it's all about. You've got to build a skill set. And even though I had that vision of sitting on the back of the truck in, you know, another country, a coffee producing country, like I knew I had to build a skill set. And so that's just
So you
why
were
it takes so long.
intentionally learning from all of these
Oh
coffee
yeah,
shops.
just observing, you know, good, bad, or different.
Right.
So.
That's awesome.
I think this is just about right.
So is there a specific consistency that we are looking for
Yes.
when you are ready to
You know,
pour it in?
pancake batter or like funnel cake batter is really runny. Like you don't want that. You want this thing to like, yeah.
I'm so glad that landed in the bowl.
So that's pretty much it.
Okay.
I want it to be thick. Again, this is fresh. You can refrigerate it. It lasts
How long?
a week.
Okay, cool.
So it's going to take 3 to 4 minutes to cook. But essentially, take this beautiful little scoop that they gave you and put it right in the middle.
And you did tell me before we started it is important to use that scoop.
Yes, this will keep it from hopefully overflowing off the side of the machine. Now, one of the things you do when you make waffles is don't spread this out. You want this to be a nice solid puck, like right in the middle. It'll spread out once you shut the waffle maker.
Cool.
You want to do the special scooping?
Okay, so is this
Full,
correct?
mound it up.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Oh my gosh. No.
Yeah, it's not going to come out very easy, so you're going to have to kind of, put a little more. Sweet, right in the middle. Kind
Nice
of, you can probably move it a little.
Because I didn't do it right?
No, it's good. Perfect.
Okay.
All right. Lock it down. Flip it. Sweet.
Okay, so while these are cooking, tell us, what would you tell 19-year-old Brandon starting at a Starbucks?
Don't get any credit cards. I've had exactly one in my life.
Yeah.
And it's long gone.
Well, one's okay, right?
I'm telling you, that's, in my opinion, it's a good piece of advice.
Yeah.
No, I would say you cannot be afraid to put in the work. It's going to seem daunting. I mean, it's just you've got to get that skill set built that I was talking about.
That is such solid advice.
And it takes learning from the most unsuspecting people as well, even if it's merely through observation.
Right.
Watching the way other people can operate a business with severe inefficiencies.
Yes.
And it's not always your job to tell them they're doing it wrong. You're not the business owner, you're the employee. It's your job to observe, and if you have plans to do something in the future, just work those out and make your vision fit that.
To elaborate on that, I think a lot of times people think, oh, you know what, I'm just going to go open a coffee shop, but they haven't put in the work prior. And maybe it's not a coffee shop, it can be anything. You really have to put in the work beforehand. Opening any restaurant or any shop, you should really go work there and get to know the business and actually know all the ins and outs.
I think those people should be arrested.
That do that, that just jump in?
Shops, yeah, but it's like
or you
it's
just
like
jump into a YouTube channel.
But it's like, how does the phrase "fake it till you make it" get popular? Why does someone say? Why would you ever say that?
Yeah.
Why would you want to be a faker?
Yeah.
You're making yourself a professional faker at that point.
What would you tell someone opening a business that if they wanted to open a coffee
I hope you've
shop?
done your homework.
Yeah.
That's what I would say. Good luck. I hope you've done your homework.
Right.
I hope this is truly what your heart's in.
Oh, yay. Waffles are ready. Another
brand new waffle makers always give you something decent. Yeah. Kind of, you should have this one on the bottom. Next one will be done in just a minute. So we have an option at our shop of getting a double waffle.
Okay.
I still have yet to have anybody come in and ask for a triple waffle. It's not on the menu. The double waffle is, but I think yours came out way better. All right, so these things are just about as golden and as firm as you want them to be. The nice part is the waffle melts the butter for you.
Oh, well then.
But you have to be generous. You have to put some butter in there as well.
Okay.
You can't just put it on top. If you get a double waffle, you got to put the butter under the first waffle.
So you're double layering the butter.
Always, you have to put butter in the middle. It's just not fair otherwise.
Not fair to the other
How
waffle.
would you want it? Do you want the dry waffle on the bottom? No. But nice choice in butter, Kerrygold. We use the same, the Irish pasture butter at the shop. Worth it, just like the eggs, Yeah. So, anyway, if you catch this thing fresh out of the waffle maker, it'll be all nice and melty. We'll give that a second. But, see, that's why fakers have such a hard time, is because they don't put the love into it. So dig in. Okay,
yeah, I'm actually really excited to try this.
That's the hardest thing, is I try not to have one every single day, because I'm like, fighting a losing battle here. I don't get enough exercise behind the bar.
That is really good. That is really good.
It's the love.
And that's a genuine really good, because I haven't had these yet. Okay, have you ever read anything about the law of attraction?
No.
Okay, well, it's basically what you've done. It is, you have a vision of what you want, and you just keep that in your mind, and then as you're going through life, you just constantly go back to that, and whatever, it's exactly what you said about going to a different coffee shop, and then going to another coffee shop, or then going, all over the place.
So like visualizing the end game, but staying present.
Yes,
and just
because you don't figure out the how. It's not up to you to figure out the how, because as you keep going, it's just going to unfold in front of you.
So I think my goal is to push the end game out as far as possible.
Because you want to live that full life.
Because it's the chase.
Yes.
It's always the chase.
Have you booked your trip?
You have to apply at the post office for a passport. And so I have a meeting on Halloween, actually. So
Will you
to go
actually meet with somebody?
Yeah, they schedule an appointment. You have to come in with all your paperwork filled out. So I've never been anywhere other than Canada. It was like 15 years ago. So I'm super excited.
And where are you going?
Colombia. So we're going to the farm of the daughter who we buy our coffee from.
Okay.
So her parents run the farm. She also has her uncle and aunt run 2 other farms in the same little area of land. So they have a bunch of adjacent family-owned farmland that we buy from direct. So it's nice because we get to, like, all the money that we spend goes directly to the farm level.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Because you don't have a middleman.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
I may have been making that up, so.
Coffee is a commodity, so it has to be brokered into the country.
Okay.
So she's their active broker.
Okay.
And she's also their daughter.
And are they like are they small? Or?
Pretty small, yeah. And there's a lot of farms now. I mean, especially the industry is so transparent.
Right.
When you get samples of coffee, it's got the farmer's name, what kind of elevation it grows at. It's very much like wine. A lot of the terroirs, like what they focus on. The varietals, actually, there's a lot of different coffee varietals. So essentially, you can buy from a farm that's as small as 2 acres.
Yeah.
And they only produce 20 bags a year.
That's awesome. Final question, or statement rather. What would you tell someone who wants to start a business?
Go get your business license. You start with one small step. It's the first thing. It's so funny you asked this because the person who I feel like got me started was the first person that showed me where to get a business license.
Yeah.
I was walking down Main Street. This guy I knew had a little hippie kind of just all odds and ends shop.
Right.
And I walked in because I knew him. He rode the bus with us, and I was like, where do you get a business license? But that's literally how it starts. Like, you have to start.
Right.
You have to put a foot out in front of the other one.
Yeah.
So I'm sorry if my answer sounds really simple.
No,
but so
that's
many people
good advice.
don't ever start.
So I said final statement, final question, but I actually, defining moment, that's a big deal too, because when you want to do something, it only takes a second to decide you're going to do it. Mm-hmm. It's not, you have all this time beforehand, that's fine, but it's literally that split second is when you're going to decide. So where were you? What were you doing? What happened that made you say, okay, I'm buying this?
It had all led up to this one moment. I was making minimum wage at 33 or 34 years old. Yeah. And like voluntarily because I wanted to learn a craft.
Right.
Like that's part of part of paying your dues isn't necessarily just putting in the work. It's like making sacrifices while you put in the work. It's dually, you have to do both. So, and that's not always an easy conversation at that age with kids, so we were living super below, our means, just like trying to look good on paper to get a house in the location where we wanted to open a shop.
Right.
And everything had finally just started to sync up.
Yeah.
And from there, that was it. That was I'm ready to do this.
Awesome.
And it was you got to jump.
Okay, so tell us, I know that some of our viewers aren't local, and that's okay. They can still have your coffee. What can they do? Tell us.
You can come by our shop, 8 South Church Street in Berryville.
Okay.
Cordial Coffee. They can also sign up for a subscription online if they want to. I mail out coffee every month. Okay. We get new coffees in all the time. They're roasted to order, shipped the next day. Okay, so we're going to drop in the description your Instagram handle because he says some super awesome motivational stuff in his stories. Watch those stories. And a link to the coffee. Cordialcoffee.com. Yes. Anything else? That's it. Okay. Thank you so much for having me. It's been great. Thank you. I'm so glad you were my first guest. But who knew when I was 4 years old, following you guys around on the mountain or our little hill, that we would be standing here talking about this. No idea. That's awesome. It all aligns. It's really cool. Okay, so if you guys liked what you saw, make sure you subscribe. And if you really like what you saw, share it with your friends. We appreciate any love you can give us. And tell us about a business that you might want to be starting in the comments section below. Thank you, guys. Thanks.